you will always arrive at the conclusion that Hindu institutions are traditional in nature, they are conservative in nature, and that they don't open their doors to everyone, and that is why there is a fundamental weakness in Hinduism. And therefore, you will welcome everything at the expense of the living traditions that people like the Puja Acharyas follow. The one thing that as Hindus we have not been able to understand is that the Anushtanas that they follow, we are not in a position to follow, nor are we capable of following it. What we follow for all practical purposes is what I would call Samanya Dharma, which is Hindu Dharma as practiced by the common Hindu, which is not the whole and soul of it. It is nowhere as close to, let's say, the purer form or the purest form that it is supposed to be. And therefore, you must strike a distinction between what they are entitled to do and what you are entitled to do, because your discipline and your commitment to Dharma is not the same. So when someone says, why can't I enter the Garbhagriha? You should ask him, what is your authority? And this authority is not a caste-based question. It is on spiritual practice-based question. Which is to say, are you following the Anushtanas that they are expected to follow? If not, please don't get in. It doesn't make a difference whether you're a woman or a man, it just doesn't make a difference. Now, these are aspects which I think are fundamentally muddled in the Hindu mind itself. And therefore, it is critical to preserve these islands of dharmic purity so that they can continue to spread the message of Dharma and remove these layers of ignorance from our heads so that we understand the implications of a judicial verdict. Because the people who celebrated the Sabarimala decision mostly were the Hindus, not others. So it's like this, it's a two-way street. The institution does something without understanding Dharma, but the community also welcomes it without understanding Dharma. It's obviously a clap, and therefore you need both the hands. So when you speak of judicial verdicts, one, I said, you have to ask yourself whether the institution understands the concept of Dharma and its distinction from religion, point number one. Does it understand the concept of Sampradaya and its centrality to Hindu Dharma, point number two. Point number three. Then you go to the question of what is the institution's position with respect to control of nerve centers of Dharma and therefore temples. Point number five, or rather four. I cannot focus exclusively on how a Hindu is being treated in this country when this is not a country which is exclusively of Hindus, when there are other people also. So automatically I'm bound to ask this question. Not only do I want to know how you're treating me, I want to know whether you're treating me at least at par with others. So how does the question of equality or discrimination arise? If it's an exclusively a Hindu country full of only Hindus, then the question of discrimination between religions does not arise. But equality and discrimination become relevant when there are others and you see that they're being treated differently. So assume for a moment, and I've given this example before, that you were a student in a classroom and you realize that the teacher has the power to give corporal punishment, physical punishment to every student. But the teacher is constantly singling you out and slapping you on a regular basis. Your first question will be, why am I being slapped? Your second question will be, why am I the only person being slapped? Both these questions will arise. So at this point, both these questions have arisen in the Hindu mind with respect to the judicial treatment and the state's treatment of Hindus as a community and our institutions. Now the one thing that you have to realize is that whenever you speak of state control of temples, your mind immediately says, I need the state for security, I need the state for maintenance, I need the state for crowd management, I need the state to handle administrative issues. And therefore, I'm happy to tolerate the presence of the state in the temple as long as they don't touch my religion, as long as they don't touch my religious affairs. According to me, there can't be a more self-defeating distinction. the institution's management and administration is in the hands of a different entity altogether, which is dying to call itself a secular entity, doesn't want to call itself a Hindu entity. And a fundamentally secular entity is holding the reins of the administration of your religious institutions, and you're operating under the naive belief that they will control only secular aspects which won't have an impact on religious aspects. How is that even possible?